I mean, as a child, I think most kids, I loved dancing. That's all I knew. And around the age of 14, I started taking classes during the summer. And I was like, oh, okay, I can actually like do this, you know? My teachers were professionals that I recognized from music videos and stuff. I was like, I think I'm in the right place. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but like, I don't want to leave. And I just, like, I started taking classes and never looked back. So yeah, I was taking classes that whole summer. My mom was kind of like, okay, you can do this for the summer, but you know, I'm not really sure about when you go back to school, finish is kind of late. She came to pick me up from a session once and saw, I think it'd only been a couple of months. She was like, oh, you're really doing this. So that was it. She let me continue. As long as I, you know, was keeping up with my school and stuff. So yeah, I started dancing at 14. I booked my first like real professional gig. I booked a bootleg gig around 16. I was dancing for, I mean, not bootleg, but I was dancing for one of my friends. But I booked my first professional gig, I think I was 18. And that was, damn, what was that? So long ago. One of them was Kanye. I remember that much. Yeah, that was cool. I think in that year, I just did like a few award shows. So one of them was Kanye, Leona Lewis, and a UK rapper, Kano. And I was like, oh, like I'm really, you know, doing this. I'd been in like dance crews and companies along the way. And then I went to college. College for us is high school for you guys though. So not university college, but just like 16 to 18 is college.
Gotcha.
So I'm in college at this point. I'm still working, but it's, you know, it's kind of part-time. And then I did my first musical theater show, a hip hop theater show. I toured with them for like 2-3 years. Came to, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because there's like, you know, a lot. So I did that. I went to university. I wasn't sure, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do, but education has always been, you know, like, you can do what you want, but as long as you stay in school and you do this and you do that.
What were you studying?
I was studying business. Business and IT. I don't know how I fell into it, but it was just like, let me just choose something that's like, vocational, like that I could actually use in, you know, the real world. I was already working as a dancer, so I wasn't going to study performing arts. That was like, you know, my mindset. And it also kept my family, you know, kind of happy. Like, oh yeah, she could get a degree in something that's like, you know, practical, that's smart. I dropped out of university for a job.
That had to be a shocker. What job was this?
So this was the theatre show I had been doing for like 2 or 3 years, got picked up and went to the West End, which is the equivalent to Broadway. So that was a big thing for a hip hop show. So I dropped out of uni. I did the show, but then I booked my first tour that year. And this is like, I won't say what year it is, I can't remember. I was really, really scared. But as soon as I became available, like fully available, I think at that point, as much as I was committed to dance, it was always secondary to school. And the minute I left, even though it was the scariest decision of my life, it was like everything, all the opportunities kind of just came my way. So that summer, I not only did the theatre show, I booked my first tour with a girl band from the UK called the Sugar Babes, which is really cool. So I toured with them. And when I was done with that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to LA. So I come to LA with like a few of my friends and we're like, we're just gonna come out here, we're gonna take classes. Like they had done it before and I was like, I wanna do this, I wanna go to America. So we come to LA for like 5-6 weeks, we're training and meeting loads of dancers, choreographers, teachers. It's amazing. And I'm like, oh, I need to be here. Like, you know,
this was it.
Yeah, like at this point, I had a pretty good career in London. But it was hard, and I wanted more, you know? I'm like, I just felt like we're always on the outside looking in. I mean, it depends on the kind of work you want to do, but for a lot of us in the UK, we watch everything that's happening out here and it's like, we want to, you know, I want to do that. I want those opportunities, and we don't have access to that in the UK, you know? So that's when I decided, yep, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to move to LA. So we will get back and we're like, all right, we have to get visas. Like, how do we get visas? And, you know, everyone's like, you need to get a lawyer and it costs like $6,000 for the visa application. Yeah.
We can't do that.
But we're like, all right, so we got to build up our resumes. We have to get more international artists on our resumes, international choreographers, all these things that are going to make us look good to be, you know, to qualify for a visa. And that's what I did. I worked my ass off. Every kind of choreographer that came over for the US, I'd do whatever it took to get in front of them, whether it was hosting workshops. I used to host, like, put on masterclasses and workshops for international choreographers. That was my way of networking. Also my way of staying tapped into the community, because, like, the dance community, because how I fell into it was, at that time, I think most of the females I worked with, they all came from like dance schools and they had technical training. And I was just like, I grew up street dancing. Like, we literally, you'd find a room, you dance wherever you could, you know?
Yeah.
So it was cool to like bridge the gap between like the underground scene and the commercial side, which is like the working dancers versus just like the hip hop street dancers. So yeah, I would like host workshops, meet choreographers, meet dancers, come back to LA. I think a year later, I knew more people, taking more classes. And still not, I'm like nowhere near visa ready in my mind, but I give myself like a few years to just keep on working, keep building up the names. And I think this was end of 2004. It might have been 2012 or 13, my friend's like, Rihanna's having an audition for her Diamonds World Tour in LA in a week or something like that. Like, we're working on some music video. She's like, there's an audition happening. I'm like, oh, I need to be at that audition. Yeah. At this point, just to fill in a gap, I had danced for Rihanna a couple times in London, like X Factor, a couple of award shows. But it wasn't enough, you know? So me and my really good friend, we book a flight. We're like, fuck it, excuse me. We're like, we're just gonna book a flight and we're gonna go.
Yeah.
We fly to LA. We get on the list. It's it's an invitation only, but we finagled it. We get on the list. I audition. I get down to the final round for the first day. I get a call back, go back the next day. The choreographer had already pulled me aside and she was like, hey, like, where are you from? Do you have a visa? I'm like, no, I don't, but I'm working on it. I wasn't, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna figure that out.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. So I get through all the rounds. It was the longest day of my life. I was so nervous, but I was also just like, I need to book this job. Like, I need to get in front of her. I need to get in front of whoever, needs to see me. Rihanna was actually at the callback, so I'm just like, okay, I'm surrounded by like some dope, like female dancers right now. Like the names in the room, it was crazy. I get pretty far. I mean, I think I get down to what is the last stage of the callback, kind of. And they're just like switching us out. At this point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't get it. I didn't have a visa. But I came home and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm applying for the visa. I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
6 months later, my visa gets approved. And I'm like, oh, I did it. 6 months after that, I moved to LA with like, I don't know, 2 months rent, like really not much. I had a place to stay for a month. And I'm just like, okay, I'm here. I'm by myself, in LA by myself for the first time. I hated where I lived, so I was just like, all right, I just need to stay out the house, take classes, just stay focused, train, let people know that I'm here. Because a lot of people know me, but they just know me as the girl that comes from London, like visits, train and whatever. Like, I need people to know that I'm here,
Yeah.
My first year was kind of rough. I was dancing for an artist in the UK, and she was like, okay, her team wanted her to like break the States.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I got on that right away. I wasn't happy on this gig. It's not what I moved to LA to do, but it was money, right?
Yeah.
So it was a way to survive. So I did that for a while. I did that for about 6 months. Didn't end well. Parted ways. Booked something else, but it was kind of just like, jobs come in here and there. And to everyone else at home, they're like, oh, you're doing the Billboard Awards, it's great, you're doing this. But I was going through hard times, you know. It's like I was doing good, like I was booking good jobs, but it wasn't consistent. So yeah, I had a few like scares. Like sometimes I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent, and all I wanted to do, like the only thing that was keeping me sane was taking classes, was training, you know. So even if I didn't have a lot of money, I was in class every week. If I had to walk to the studio, if I had to catch the bus to rehearsal, like I was doing that. I was literally just like, I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm doing it, you know. Like there was just, yeah, like going home wasn't an option. I had friends that had tried it. They didn't know how to start over, especially like you establish yourself where you come from, and then we come out here and it's like humble beginnings, you know, you have to start again. But leaving just was not an option, you know. I didn't care how hard it was. I was here to stay. So yeah, my first year was kind of like, I go into the second year and, you know, there's highs and lows. But at the end of 2015, I booked Beyonce. I booked the Lemonade project. And this is right before Christmas.
How did you even hear about this opportunity?